Great, thanks, Lauren. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Stefan from Computrack, and today we have invited Alltech to show you the DocLink document management solution. The goal here is to show you a more efficient way to manage everyday business processes and go paperless, and to automate and streamline your critical business processes. So, quick note before I turn things over to Dan and Mark. If you could please put any questions you have in the Q&A box, we'll try and answer those at the end. So without further ado, I'll pass it over to Dan.
Thank you, Stefan, and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. Today's topic is AP automation made easy with DocLink for Sage 300. I hope that if you are not yet familiar with AP automation and workflow automation, that sort of thing, that you'll be able to learn a great deal this afternoon. And if you are at least familiar with it, I hope that you'll learn a bit more and become excited about the possibilities as you see them apply to your business. The agenda for today is really very simple. We want to start the presentation talking about the value of automating AP. There are many ways, as you will see, there are many ways in which you can find cost savings, time savings in automating accounts payable, and we certainly want to bring those to your attention. After that, we will talk about what is DocLink and how does DocLink address AP automation. After that, Mark Whitbeck. Mark is one of our sales engineers here at Alltech. Mark is going to give us a demonstration and show us exactly how DocLink may be implemented within your organization, and show you exactly how you can realize some of the savings that we're going to reveal to you. We'll talk about some customer success stories along the way. You don't have to take it from us. You can see what actual customers have to say about DocLink and the value of automating accounts payable. And last but not least, we don't want to forget that DocLink is an enterprise-wide solution. And with that, we just want to make you aware that once you acquire DocLink and you have it deployed in accounts payable, from there, the possibilities are limitless. It is an enterprise solution, and we encourage you to think outside of the box, think outside of accounts payable, and think of all of the other areas of the enterprise that you may be able to deploy DocLink. So before we go too far, we do want to start with our first poll. And the question that we want you to respond to here is, where do you see the value of AP automation in your organization? Is it simply a matter of providing remote access to documents? Perhaps you have a dispersed operation. You're in multiple buildings, even within one campus, or maybe you have multiple buildings across Canada. And you have people who need to have access to documents in a much more efficient way. Are you looking to streamline your approval process? Because right now you're spending a lot of time walking back and forth through the hallways to distribute invoices and then to go follow up with the manager who hasn't returned them to you yet and still hasn't approved them. And then you get to go back yet another time and ask him to hand it over to you. Are you looking to save time? Are you looking for cost savings in automating your accounts payable process? Or is this simply a strategic initiative within the organization? So I'll give you just a moment to think about the answers here. Make your selections, and Lauren will let us know what the results are.
All right, so it should have popped up on the right-hand side of your screen. So go ahead and make your selection. All right, there we go. I'm seeing it. They must not have seen where it was. Okay. I'll give you another few seconds. Wow. Okay, so we had about, oh, okay, wait, they're still voting. I'm holding off. So give me a second. Okay, I'm going to count out. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so looks like we have 50% for remote access to documents and 50% for overall cost savings. There we are. All right.
Okay. All right. Well, we will keep that in mind as we go through here.
You can continue, Dan. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just had to click on the presentation so it would recognize my keystroke here. So to begin the conversation about automating accounts payable, there are many different reasons. I'll go a little bit slowly here to give you a chance to read some of these bubbles as they appear. There are many different reasons for automating accounts payable. You see the first one that came up was simply the approval process. With the onset of COVID, the ability to work more easily, more seamlessly in a remote or even a hybrid fashion is very, very important. In DocLink, everything is captured. Everything is, you always know where it is. So if it's been sent out for approval, you know exactly where that approval lies. You're not having to go walk down the hallway and see if the first approver has approved it. You don't have to dig through their desk to see where it might be and then continue on to the next approver. You know exactly where it is. You have a great deal of visibility that you may not have today. DocLink improves the efficiency of the accounts payable department, and it's a huge convenience for everybody involved in the process. I really like this this chart. You see on the right-hand side, this is something that comes from Ardent Partners. This is not something that Alltech researched. This is independently researched, but it's very, very interesting. And I'm sure that these are things that a lot of us really haven't thought about in the past. But in a traditional paper-based processing mode, the cost to process a single invoice from start to finish can be about $13. But in an automated process with DocLink, a very efficient process, we can cut that cost down to $2.56. In terms of time, processing a single invoice can go from almost 12 days down to 3.1 days. In percentages, this means that the cost savings that you could realize is about 81%. And time is in the range of 73 to 75%. And there's a lot of other interesting statistics here, but I think these are the two that are most pertinent. And certainly given the poll that we just took, the cost savings being around 81%, I think is certainly very noticeable. A couple other initiatives for accounts payable automation. This, you notice, comes from the Institute of Financial Management. And in their survey, they found that most of their respondents to the survey are interested in going paperless. They want to capture their images, capture the image of the document, shred the document, recycle it, get it out of their office, and but still have it readily available. And secondly, they want to automate their workflows for approval of those invoices and to increase their efficiencies. Again, we have results from another survey. This one's conducted by PricewaterhouseCoopers. And again, I think these numbers are very startling to a lot of us. Just simply to file a document can cost up to $20. It can take up to $120 to retrieve a document. So when you think about what you do during the annual audit in a paper-based situation, when the auditors ask you, okay, I want to see all of the invoices for a particular vendor, or I want to see all of the invoices for a particular that impacted a particular GL account. The cost of retrieving those documents can be very, very expensive. It's not only your time that you're spending retrieving those documents, but think about the cost of having the auditors sitting in your conference room, multiple people from the audit firm, while their meter is running while you're trying to retrieve documents. Certainly a very expensive activity. And to recreate a document at $220 is just unbelievable to me. Here we have an example of one of those case studies that I referred to earlier. And we have a customer, Smart City Telecom. They provide IT services, telecom services, those sorts of things for events all across the country. And here you can see the reduction in approval delays. They reduced their approvals by 90%. One of the cost savings that people don't recognize at first is that with a solution like DocLink, you may not need your offsite storage. You may not need Iron Mountain or whatever facility you use to store racks and racks of banker boxes. In the case of Smart City, they were able to save over $18,000 just by reducing or eliminating their offsite storage. And again, we see the savings that comes in the terms of the annual audit. 85% reduction in time and cost during that audit. Now, in terms of AP automation, the elements for success, we want to focus on things like visibility. We have collaboration. We want to control those documents. And we want to take advantage of technology and automate as much as we possibly can. When we talk about visibility, this involves employee productivity, process efficiency, invoice processing time. We want to reduce that invoice processing time so that you have time available to do things that are certainly more productive and more profitable for the company. And cash flow optimization. Accounts payable, we always need to know what's coming due, how much cash do we have to work with, and by speeding up that process, making it much more efficient, we have much better visibility of our cash flow. Second block has to do with collaboration. And again, accounts payable doesn't work in isolation. Accounts payable works with the finance department. You have to work with the procurement or the buyers. You even have to work with your suppliers. You need to be able to answer their questions about when was a payment made, whether a payment was made, when it will be made. So there's lots of collaboration within the enterprise and even outside of the enterprise. And having a solution like DocLink with the visibility of the documents can help a great deal in the collaboration. Third is control. We want to control those documents. We want to know exactly where they are. We don't like paying late fees. In fact, we would rather take advantage of any discounts or early payment discounts that may be available to us, because again, those are dollars that fall straight to the bottom line. We want to eliminate duplicate invoices. DocLink can certainly help with that. I know that in my previous lifetimes, when I have worked on implementing ERP programs like Sage 300, oftentimes I would hear from accounts payable that freight companies are notorious for sending duplicate invoices. DocLink can certainly help you capture those duplicates, eliminate those duplicates, and only pay for the freight once. And last but not least is automation. And we want to, as you all indicated, you want to lower your costs and streamline the AP process really from start to finish. You want to streamline it from the receipt of the invoice up front, really even from the time that a purchase order is created. We can streamline it from purchase order creation through receipt of goods, through receipt of invoice, all the way through payment and capturing the remittance advice for the check. So how does DocLink fit into this? DocLink, you see at the bottom, our slogan is connecting people, processes, and data for a competitive advantage. And with DocLink, we really want to make documents available to anyone at any time and anywhere. So we connect all of your processes throughout your ERP system, and we connect those documents to everyone who needs to view them or to approve them, to touch them in any way, shape, or form. We want to streamline your operation, make it more efficient, provide greater visibility, and keep control of the documents, know where they are throughout the entire process. And lastly, we can also take care of the delivery of documents to those who need to see them. This could be just within the organization, but if necessary, we can also automate the delivery of documents to your vendors as well. How does DocLink work? DocLink starts with the capture of the data. We can capture data. We can capture a purchase order by capturing the print stream as you go to print it and print it to a PDF and send it off to your vendor. We can capture that as well so that we already have the purchase order in DocLink and awaiting receipt and receipt of the packing slip. We can capture documents through an OCR scanner. We can capture invoices that may be sent to you via email and are sitting in an AP invoice email account. There's numerous ways that we can bring the documents into the DocLink repository. Once they're in the repository, we can begin to work with them through the two-way integration that we have with Sage ERP. We can begin the workflow and set up an automated routing so that it's very easy to process those invoices, get them approved, get them back, and have the batch created in Sage 300 for you with very limited data entry. As I mentioned, we can deliver the documents. We can deliver them via email. We can print them. There's any number of ways that we can deliver documents to those who need to receive them and read them. And when everything is all said and done, we have very powerful document search and retrieval capabilities. And we have 3 different clients. We have a smart client, which is a desktop client. We also have a web client. It's simply a tab in your browser that you can use. And last but not least, of course, we all do a great deal these days from our phones, from our tablets, and consequently, we have a mobile app to make it easier for those who use those devices or need to use those devices because they're not in the office, they're not near a computer, but they do have their phone with them. DocLink is often adopted first in accounts payable because of all of the paper. Sure that all feel the amount of paper that you have on your desk, the amount of paper that you are handling on a daily basis. So this is a very logical place for us to start. it's a logical place. It's an easy place for us to find a very short return on investment. When we look to automate accounts payable, there's a number of benefits that we find. First and foremost, we have self-service document access. We can, when we put a document into the workflow, the approver has very easy access. There's multiple ways that the approver can see the document, know what's on it, and provide their approval. As a consequence, the approvals are much more timely. And last but not least, you eliminate the extreme costs, those costs that we saw earlier that are related to filing data, filing documents. All of that can be saved through automating accounts payable with a solution like DocLink. Again, just to emphasize the cost savings and how does DocLink impact those savings? How does DocLink provide those savings? If we look at all of the steps that are included, all the steps that are necessary in a manual process, I think you'll agree your eyes are probably crossing as you look at all of these circles on the left-hand side of the screen. But when we have completed the implementation of DocLink, you'll see that we boil everything down to just the processes that are absolutely necessary to get the job done. Much more streamlined, much more straightforward, and certainly much less costly because we've eliminated so many manual steps. This, I think, is probably one of my favorite slides. In the poll, 50% of us said that cost savings. Here we see just a very brief listing of places where we can realize cost savings. We already mentioned offsite storage in the case study that we looked at earlier. I recently spoke to a company that is going to be able to save significant amounts because they're receiving invoices via email and then they still print them out and they still route them manually. They're going to save an enormous amount simply in paper and toner that they're currently using in their printers. They're also going to save a great deal by eliminating, they're in very cramped offices, they're going to eliminate their filing cabinets and be able to use that office space for something much more productive. This morning I had a conversation with a company that is sending paper documents via FedEx at least once a week from 3 different sites to a central site via FedEx 2-day delivery. I can't imagine what the annual FedEx bill is. But these are all places where you may be able to find cost savings yourself. Time savings, I know this wasn't as big on the poll, but again, lots of different places, lots of different activities where we can recognize time savings. And strategically, I've had conversations recently. I don't know if in Canada, if you have the Indeed commercials that I see here. I live just outside of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but I see these Indeed commercials where small business owners are looking to hire somebody. As I said to one company, I said, with DocLink, you may not be the next subject of an Indeed commercial where you're looking to hire someone because you've been able to streamline your operations, improve your efficiencies, and be able to grow without the necessity of hiring additional staff. So there's lots of different ways that DocLink can provide cost savings and time savings, not only in accounts payable, but across the enterprise. So at this point, I want to ask Lauren to make Mark, our presenter, and Mark is going to give us a brief demonstration of DocLink.
Excellent, thanks, Dan. We'll go ahead and switch here real quick. Bear with me as we go ahead and make the awkward transition between WebEx presenters, as is always the case. We should be set. And Dan, if you don't mind, just give me a quick yes, hopefully, that you can see my screen okay.
I can see your screen okay, Mark.
All right, thanks, Lauren.
Sorry, Mark, I muted myself.
No, it's all good. We got the job done. That's all that matters. I'm going to do this a little bit differently than what I typically do, and show the end result first. So the reason being is really want to get the idea of API automation and what DocLink brings to the table in how it's going to enhance processes, save time, save costs. What's the end result, right? We're ultimately trying to get to, from an API automation standpoint, we're in Sage 300, we're trying to get data into a transactional screen into the invoice entry, right? This is the end result. Once we're here, everything goes to our single source of truth into Sage 300. And we'll step back and we'll say, well, how did we get here? Because DocLink is going to make sure before the data is entered here, all the data is well formed. We have a GL coded invoice that has been appropriately approved before it gets entered, and all the data was entered automatically. So how does that happen from the start when an invoice comes in via email or mail? And how does it get here, right? So keep that in mind as we're walking through this, and we can talk about that automation aspect and how DocLink is going to help. So documents, like I mentioned, they're really come in as far as invoices go in one of two different ways: via email. If they're still paper, they're going to come in via the mail. You're going to de-envelope them and scan them in batches. Either way, they're most likely going to go through a process of OCR. So this is going to immediately allow you to save headcount and save time by not having to enter that data into Sage 300 manually. The way it does it is it's going to read the invoice as it comes in. We're going to extract all the information from it and then do something with that document. A lot of times this passes right through. We never even see that document. We just know that it goes into a process flow. But what I like to do is stop these documents as they get scanned in or plucked automatically via an email inbox so we can see what the system is doing behind the scenes. But keep in mind that maybe at least 50 to 70%, if not, upwards to 70 to 90% of these documents really pass right through without really any manual or human intervention. So the very worst case is we get to this screen and we do some exception handling, right? So it already validated that this invoice came from our vendor Eaton Corporation, that the date is in this area here and it pulled it off automatically, right? This is all stuff that we'd have to enter into the invoice data entry screen in Sage, but we no longer have to. There's our reference number. All we're going to do at this point is we're going to point and click into different values. So in this case, our PO number is in this area in the top right hand corner. Point and click, and it adds that PO number here. Subtotal, we're actually going to do this a little bit different because this particular invoice has a grand total, but there's actually no subtotal. It's only subtotaling the line item details. We're going to say, okay, we're going to train the system into looking at this particular vendor template and that invoice layout to say, here is where our total amount due is. We have our total tax of $20.64. So we're going to point and click. We're going to train it to look at this particular value on this invoice. And then we're going to do a deduction to say, what is our subtotal based on that? I just click the calculator button and we got it. We're done. We can do line item capture as well. So think of anything in the header, the footer, line item detailings of item numbers, quantities, item descriptions, so on and so forth. We're going to grab that as well. In this case, it didn't quite grab the description correctly. It grabbed the unit of measure instead. We're going to retrain the system on how to grab that and then recalculate the unit price and line total. If we want to auto calculate or auto apply a GL code that's based on that item, we can do that as well. So you start seeing as we put these pieces together, we can really automate documents as they come in by doing that manual data entry for you. That's really the important part. If the system is doing it for you, think of this as a worker that's working 100% of the time from noon to midnight throughout the night. Whenever documents come in, it never stops, it never takes breaks, it never takes vacations. As documents go through this process, again, this is all automated, so we don't really have a whole lot to do here from human intervention, manual data entry. We want to talk about the next step in that process flow. What happens next when a document gets captured? Where does that document go in your business process? So it may come in, we may scan it, and we may let's say we have multiple different locations across Canada. Maybe we're bringing in invoices from a bunch of different locations. We need to scan those documents in and bring them internally. Well, we can look at all those different inboxes, bring them centralized, and then redistribute them out decentrally. And that's what we're dealing with here. So we're looking at documents in a decentralized fashion now. We need to do something with that document. We need to GL code it before it gets routed for approval. Then we need to reroute it back internally for accounts payable to do that end result in Sage 300, right? What's cool about DocLink is that we can do GL coding directly from DocLink. We don't have to go back into Sage 300 at any point in time because that's part of the AP automation integration that DocLink has with Sage. We're looking at all the data points that we need. So vendor number, name, all the GL chart of accounts, that's all available for us in this window here. We can pick and choose from a list. Now, OCR probably pulled the vendor, validated it for us. If we needed to make changes, we can here from a drop-down list. This is all your Sage 300 vendor cards available for you in one nice, easy-to-view window. If there's any other data that we need to add on, let's say account set, we can do that as well. We're just going to select trade. And really that's it, right? I think that's all that Sage is usually requiring us for future import and syncing. Really the next step is we want to detail line item descriptions. So we'll actually go back and remove these. If I add lines, we can see the entire chart of accounts available to us in this lookup field. So whenever I see a magnifying glass, that allows us to view a drop down all the values here. In this case, we want to look for, let's say, a description that begins with, in maybe inventory. So I'm going to select a partial search. Now we see inventory. We can now select from our short list on the inventory to correctly GL code that inventory to 1300. As I go through to line item, capture this information, I can see my difference on the total amount here, 259.39. So I'm just going to quickly type in 239, 39. Oops, I keep typing multiple periods here. 239. There we go. And so we can make sure our differences, our debits equal our credits. Now we can move on with this document. So even if I'm not great at math, I can still make sure the system is going to programmatically make sure everything matches down to the penny to make everything's matching correctly. And then the last step is we want to audit trail this. So in the digital or the physical world, this is the same thing as rubber stamping or physically writing on that piece of paper. We're creating an audit trail. So DocLink sends this data into Sage. This is exactly the data gets imported and burned into Sage. We can view that audit trail here. I can look at the GL lines. If I scroll down, I can see exactly how we GL coded to distribute out these line items. This is literally a secondary page to the original invoice, and it's a second page gets added to it, right? There's our original invoice, as we see here. This is where some automation can come into play. If we like the idea of more automation than not, then we can use what we call an auto route status. This is where DocLink is going to analyze the document based on pre-configured routing rules. It would say, if this total amount of the document is between $0 and $500, maybe it goes to approver A, between 500 and 1,000 approver B, and anything above that goes to approver C. Well, DocLink's going to automatically know that based on the total amount. Maybe it's simpler than that. Maybe it just goes to one individual approver every single time. Maybe it goes to a certain location based on what was GL coded or where the document came from. The sky's the limit here on all the different variables that could be in play on how your automation works today, and we use those rules to mimic your exact processes. DocLink is super flexible this way. It's not a point system where we turn it on, we use it, and you have to use the DocLink way. We take it from a baseline, we use it to configure how you use your existing process flow today. And DocLink is really, really flexible in that sense. Even going as far as saying, invoice came in, we need to look at the original buyer of that purchase order that was matched to the line item. And we want to, if any exceptions occur, we need to reroute that document back to that original buyer so they can handle those exceptions. DocLink can do that as well. Just by a click of the button, analyzing all those data points to move that document where it needs to go. So we're going to move that to the auto route status, and it's going to do its thing. In this particular case, it's moving it to just our representative approver for this, right? We don't try to keep this overly complicated, but we want to send notifications to users to say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Approver, you have X number of documents in your workflow queue that you need to handle, look at to approve or deny. So we give them a document count as to all those documents ready for them. We may have overdue documents. So within a time threshold of over 24 to 48 hours, a document has become overdue in that particular case. So we're going to count those up. And if you have vendors that are high priority, we can track those and see all those high priority vendors as well. In a lot of cases, users just want an easy button, right? See a document, I give a quick review, and then I approve and deny documents directly via email. You can do it via the mobile app. If you happen to be on vacation, but you still need to keep documents moving, you can still do that. And DocLink makes it easy to just say approve or deny and move on with your life and go back to sipping your margarita, right? What that means is that the documents continue flowing through the system and things do not stop. So documents will come through, they get approved, and then really what it comes down to is have DocLink, when it's ready, on a regular interval, sync the documents that come in to DocLink, approved, get GL coded, and now we go back to the end result, right? So we go back to the correct screen, which is in Sage. Oh, let's find that. Where did I put that thing? And there we go. There's our invoice data entry screen. So everything gets imported in here on a regular interval. And then what we say is, well, we need to post these transactions in Sage. Before we post them, we want to make sure everything is right. We're detail oriented before we post transactions. So we want to view that document at the last time before we do anything else. Well, DocLink gives you that ability. We can one-click view documents to view the document or documents, and you can view those within DocLink by a click of the button. We could be in Sage, we could be in DocLink. We still need to find those documents. And if I did this right without it timing out on me here, let's just reset because we have been idle for maybe a little bit. We'll try that again. Click on View Documents, and DocLink goes out and it searches and retrieves that document. So now I'm able to do my checks and balances. I can look at all the data in Sage. I can look at all the data in DocLink, review that document before I post. So now I feel confident that, yes, this is the document getting posted and we can move on. Then what DocLink does is it says, if there are any changes, we don't want to have to go back into DocLink to make those additional changes. We're just going to make those for you. If there's anything like, well, the document number got updated or line item detail got re-GL coded to a different account code, DocLink's going to know that and it's going to make those changes accordingly. It's going to put a posting date on it. It's going to move that document out of its flow process. Then we don't have to worry about it anymore. We're confident that it's moved out of our process and now it's just available for search and retrieval for us. When we go to cut checks or make those electronic payments, we're going to capture that automatically and bring that check information or the EFT remittance data. We're going to link it back to the invoice So now you have the visibility of all the check information or payment information right on the invoice automatically. This takes the place of having to copy the check stub, go find our invoice in our physical filing cabinet, staple them together, put them back, right? We took 4 steps and we collapsed it into one. Now the invoice and the check are related to each other, and now they're all visible within DocLink. We can go see that if we do a quick search here. There's our invoice and our check relationship to view the 2 documents side by side to each other. One click, side by side, view both documents. We'll just give ourselves a little bit better real estate here to view this end result. We're going to say title vertically, so we can manipulate the documents digitally, however we want in the system. I can zoom in, zoom out, view all the metadata on the side panel here as those documents are slow to load for me. But now we can view everything about that document on the side panel. So now we can see, hey, this invoice was paid by check number 21 on this day for this total amount. Document visibility, if you're doing document investigation, maybe your vendor calls you up and everyone drops everything for their customers. Well, we want to take a phone call and they say, where is our check? And we want to get them that information as quickly as possible, but it does take time. We now can quickly and efficiently look up the 2 documents together, say, hey, check was cut on this date. It's probably in the mail. Maybe just give it a day and call us back. But we can answer those questions for our clients quickly and efficiently without having to go to a physical filing cabinet and digging through a bunch of stuff, which, as Dan mentioned, we know by that third party that finding or retrieving a document takes $120 worth of time. In DocLink, that takes a fraction of the time, so you can see the value of using a system like DocLink to find invoices and checks versus going to the physical filing cabinet and spending $120 worth of time. DocLink makes it super easy to do that quickly instead. With that, I'm going to turn things back to Dan, and so hopefully we can get screen shared back again and be on our way with the rest of the presentation. Thank you guys so much for your time and taking a look. And back to you, Dan. And you are
I think you're on mute again.
I was. Thank you.
You are.
You see my DocLink demo site?
I do, yes.
All right, thank you. All right, so we'll proceed here. Dan,
I can't hear you.
Proceed. I know I hit the wrong button. Sorry.
Okay.
All right. I think I got it in the right place now. All right. We'll move on here very quickly and save some time at the end for questions and answers. So you saw Mark as he progressed through the demonstration just now. You saw that we're going to minimize the data entry that you have to do. We're going to let technology, we're going to let automation do as much of that data entry for us as we possibly can. You saw how he was training invoices, training the system to read the invoices and accomplish a lot of that data entry for us. And maybe it snuck past you, but certain things like utility bills, rent bills, those sorts of recurring invoices where it's the same amount, it's the same vendor every month. Once things are trained, we may not even see those. They may pass automatically through the process, and the first time that you actually see them is when they appear on a payables report. So we're going to automate the capture and indexing. We're going to reduce the time that you spend manually reconciling things, matching things. We'll let automation do that. We'll let DocLink do all of that for us. We want to leverage the existing ERP data. I think this is very, very important because DocLink provides that very tight integration to Sage 300. I want to emphasize that if you have a new vendor as soon as you go add, you receive the invoice, oops, we have a new vendor, great. You go enter the new vendor, that vendor is immediately available to you in DocLink. If you purchased something new from an existing vendor and that causes you to create a new GL account, you go create the GL account in Sage where it belongs, so that we have that single source of truth, that single database where everything resides. DocLink is going to read that new GL account number immediately, make it available to you to again take advantage of minimizing your data entry. Just to review some of the things that we've already talked about, visibility and reporting in DocLink. We're going to monitor the workflow status. You saw Mark's email where there were overdue invoices, there were priority invoices that needed attention. As I said before, we're going to know exactly where the invoices are. We can manage the audit trails. One of the interesting things about this brings to mind not only the audit trail that we all think of as we think about accounting audit trails. One of the other things that's available to, or that's a built-in part of DocLink, is an audit trail on each and every document. We know exactly who and when anyone touches or even views a particular document. So if you've got very strict compliance regulations that you need to conform to, the audit trail within DocLink is going to give you a great deal of information, a great deal of control, and hopefully a great deal of satisfaction for any auditor that may be looking over your shoulder. We're going to improve the financial reporting, of course, and streamline not only single company, but also intercompany accounting. I want to talk just for a moment about security. Security can be done on a company-by-company basis. So yes, DocLink can be as multi-company as your Sage your Sage installation may be. Again, go back to the company that I talked about a little earlier today. They're a development company with about 50 to 60 different companies that are responsible for each of the properties that they're involved with. So we could set security on a company-by-company basis. We could do it at the departmental level. We can do it by document type or a property value. We can do it by roles. There's any number of ways in which we can set up the security so that only the people who should be able to view a document can view a document. And talk for just a moment about a couple more success stories. AAA, the American Automobile Association. If you take a look at the top line there, you see there was an 85% reduction of time and money in audits. That goes back to one of those slides that we used in the introduction, talking about the value of automating accounts payable. And here you see they had an $11,000 savings simply on postage. And again, that relates back to the $18,000 that the other company was able to save on their storage costs. And again, 75% reduced processing time goes right back to that 73% savings that was reported by the Ardent partners. Another case study, again, here we see that we have the initial solution was in accounts payable. They captured documents, and they also used smart forms to streamline and improve the efficiency in the areas of things such as expense reporting and credit card reconciliation. There's a lot of things that we could talk about, a lot of things we could show you today, but in the interest of time, we kept things focused on accounts payable, but we can expand that a little bit and think about expense reports and credit card reconciliations as well. So there's any number of ways that DocLink can produce the cost savings that at least 50% of you are looking for. And how can DocLink impact everyone in your organization? Once again, this slide talks to the enterprise capabilities of DocLink. Human resources is a natural extension. We all know, if we've gone through the hiring process recently, there's a lot of documentation for benefits, for government documents, all of those types of things. Human resources is a natural place to use DocLink. But I've had recent conversations with companies about their sales order processing side. They want to be able to take things from a customer order all the way through the receipt of cash. And that's something that DocLink can help them with. If you're a manufacturer, think about all of the paper that you use out on the shop floor and think about how we can capture that. How do we want to capture the yields, the scrap, all of that sort of thing that gets reported. All of that can be captured within DocLink. Quality control, really any department within the enterprise is a candidate to use DocLink. And now, before we conclude, before we get ready for questions and answers, I want to ask just one more polling question today. So Lauren, if you'll open the poll. I'm just interested, kind of instant feedback for me. What were you able to learn from today's webinar? Do you see how DocLink can reduce your invoice processing costs? Do you see how DocLink can reduce your approval times? Have I been effective in explaining how DocLink is an enterprise-wide solution? And certainly, if you are intrigued by what you've seen today and want to learn more about DocLink, we'll be happy to contact you. We'll be happy to have Stefan contact you and start the process of an evaluation of DocLink. So I'll give you a few seconds here to check the box.
All right. So everyone, you should have seen a poll pop up on the right-hand side of your screen. Go ahead and make your selections. And in the meantime, also, if you do have any questions, go ahead and type that into the Q&A box area, and we'll address that now, actually. And while we're waiting for everyone to vote, I do have some questions that popped up. So either Dan or Mark or even Stefan, they're asking, how well does the OCR capture invoice details? Most of our invoices have POs and would not require routing for approval. How well does the system detect the PO on the invoice?
I can take that. It depends is the real answer. Not a great one, and I hate answering that, but it depends on how it comes in, right? If we're dealing with a first generation digital document, we're gonna have a really high success rate on those. If it's scanned and copy stained and pink copy, it may not grab it very well. But if it's on the document, if the PO number is on the document, it's going to be easily capturable based on those criteria.
Okay. All right. There's another question about if our accounting software is on premise, could DocLink be hosted on cloud, or if on premise accounting software, should DocLink be on premise as well? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So the short answer is all those situations can happen, right? DocLink works in a hybrid model, so there's the on-premise option if things are on-prem today and you want to share resources on existing servers, you can do that. If Sage is hosted and you want DocLink on-prem, you can do that. DocLink in the cloud with Sage on-premise or hosted, you can do that. We work in a hybrid model, so either any way you want to do it, then DocLink can be set up that way.
Okay, great. All right. I don't see any other questions have come through, but I'm going to give it another few more seconds for the polling if anybody's out there still voting. I did see some come in, but we're probably going to close the poll in another few seconds. So take a moment and select your best answer. Any last minute words from any of you gentlemen before we thank everyone? Well, actually, here. So I think the polling is done. So we have DocLink. Well, okay, we've learned that DocLink can reduce invoice processing costs. Great, yeah, because that's one of the many things. And we actually have someone who wants to learn more, so that's wonderful as well. All right, any other questions anybody has out there before we close out? All right, gentlemen, any last minute words from anyone out there?
No, I just want to thank everyone for joining us this afternoon. If you are that one who's interested in learning more right now, please contact Stefan. If you need to process this for a day or two, please reach out to Stefan, and we'll be happy to work with you to evaluate DocLink and see all the ways that DocLink may be able to help you save costs within your company. So with that, Stefan, any last comments?
Oh, that's perfect. Thank you so much, Mark, Dan, and Lauren. And thank you, everyone, for your time today.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And we hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye now.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.